What is going on, everybody? Bobby Fye, Eric Sheetshaver, and Brandon Cruz. We're going to be talking about this showdown slate between Pittsburgh and Cleveland in a game that I think everyone is planning to be really, really ugly and weather that's kind of ugly. So I'm kind of curious right off the bat. Brandon, always good to have you doing these. What are you looking at in tonight's game? I'm sure you played around with some stuff right now. What are you looking at?
I'm of the opinion that we're going to probably see a game that goes under the total. So just through that, I'm probably going to be I would be leaning way heavier on the running backs and specifically Nick Chubb. Like for me, this just seems like a Nick Chubb game. That's like really the only true take I have outside of the normal like builds and stuff. I just really like Nick Chubb tonight.
Yeah, it's interesting because he's like I was getting him as a captain, as a contrarian captain when I ran some builds earlier, and he was like the guy who they were giving me the most of. I have a hard time because he doesn't look right to me. And he hasn't played well in 2 years. So he hasn't been healthy in 2 years, really. But until this year. But it's just hard to, I don't know. I'm sort of going back and forth on that one myself. How about you, Sheets, in terms of the overall game? What are you looking at?
Yeah, so there's obviously quite a bit of weather out of this game, and you know how I think. I'm like, like if everybody's expecting it, doesn't necessarily make it so. But what I think that's important to do in this particular slate, which is something I don't do too often, is to create builds based on your game script. Okay, and I usually don't do that. I usually just kind of like run the stuff, have it all say that it's all taken care of, it all factors in. But I think it's worth, if you're going to play multiple lineups, to do certain constructions that are predicated on the thing going under, and certain things predicated on the thing not going under. Okay, because I think that you can actually make some construction decisions specific to things going under, and that includes not just leaning on the running backs and the defenses, which I would imagine makes a lot of sense, right? But also from what I know and from what I've read and whatever, when you get these games that act like this, it's not just that it goes under, but a whole bunch of salaries usually left on the table.
Yeah.
In the optimal lineups. So if you wanted to mess around, and these again, this stuff they don't usually do, but if you want to mess around with doing a max salary of some made up number, you know what I mean? I don't know what it is, but some number left on the table, that is not only usually good to get unique, but also it's very conducive to this particular game script that you're selling. So what I would do, and what I'm going to do, is I'm going to build a whole portfolio of lineups that are specifically designed for that under, which includes not only playing the under type of players, but also leaving money on the table.
Yeah.
And then in the other sets of builds, like where, I don't think it's, where maybe what if it doesn't go under, right? Then there I'm not going to be as nasty about leaving money on the table. So that's what I think is probably decent advice for tonight's slate.
Yeah, and I think that all makes sense. My take on the game is I like the under. I like Cleveland for what it's worth. I think this is a letdown spot for Pittsburgh after Sunday with Baltimore, and I think Cleveland's going to win this game. But I also think that like there's some times we've talked about these sheets where you like the construction of maybe playing the opposite and maybe playing the passing game more.
And I will.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I will have some of that.
Yeah.
And that is, obviously the benefit of playing multiple lineups is you can get away with doing stuff like that. But what I don't think I'm playing like the middle of the road. I think I'll play some where I'm really playing the under. You know what I mean? Like no quarterbacks and captains like at all. And leaving like, I don't know, 2,000 on the table or something like that. In those, and then in my overbuilds, really putting quarterbacks and receivers, up in those captains positions, and using salary and probably playing almost no defenses or whatever it is. And I'm not going to try to thread the needle with anything in the middle. So that's the way I happen to be approaching tonight. So.
Yeah, I'll share my screen in a minute and we'll go through some of my exposure things. I'm not playing a bunch of lineups, but I am going to play a little bit. And I just want to get off. again, I always like to get off the chalk as the captains go. And tonight feels like I feel especially like doing that. I don't think we need to play like why can't we if Najee Harris is going to be 4 times the ownership of or 10 times the ownership as a captain that Jalen Warren is, I'm going to play Jalen Warren as a captain. If we're gonna everybody wants to play George Pickens, I'll play Jerry Jeudy as a captain. That's just the way I'm looking at it. But in general, my take is generally running backs on both sides, both running backs, by the way, Warren and by the way, Cordarrelle Patterson is a viable punt in.
Back to him again.
Well, I mean, he gets a touch here and there, and every now and then he'll get like a goal line one. So I just think at 1,000, like you could take a stab there.
Well, let me ask you something. So Brandon, you do some of the showdown stuff. When I'm for the football, what do you play? Because I think it's important to get some context. Like, do you play like 10 lineups or 5 lineups, or what do you usually do?
I typically have more success doing single entry, like all the 15 contests throughout the day. That I mean, now we're deep in November, December, so there's only like 4 throughout the day. But usually at the start of the year, there'll be like 6 $15 contests throughout the day.
Uh-huh.
I do some. Actually, they don't have the 40 anymore.
More to the point, like what do you play? What are you playing tonight? You know what I mean? Like
just single entry stuff.
Okay. Because we remember, like what our takes are is really dependent on what we're playing. You know what I mean? Like if I were playing single entry, I only had one lineup to play. What would it be? You know what I think? I think it would be what I'm thinking anyway. I think I would probably go some mass under or something like that. But again, you don't have to leave 3,000 on the table in single entry either. Mm-hmm. But I would leave something. I think I would leave something, and Bobby brings up a good point. Brandon, would you play 2 running backs from the Steelers, for example, in the same lineup?
I think Warren at his price tag is needed in most lineups, just where he's priced and what that can do to every line. I would probably lean him more in the flex, as I'd want to get different in the captain, and I think you could very easily play Harris and Warren together in the flex. I just think Warren's price tag is very appealing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like Warren. By the way, I like Ford. I don't see that like that Nick Chubb is going to get every single down. I mean, Ford had 5. What do you have? 4 catches last week. He had 8 fantasy points. That's better than any game Chubb's had in 2 years. I kind of like Ford as a contrarian captain option tonight.
So I'm actively thinking about running all 4 running backs.
I think it makes sense. And also, you know what? The other thing, if you're not doing that, the tight ends. This is a good tight end. I mean, the weather games just tend to be a little bit better for tight ends. Easier throws, more over the middle of the field, that kind of thing. But I think this is going to be a low scoring. I really have a hard time seeing this game getting up into the 30s.
Is there high winds in this game?
The wind isn't that bad. It's only 10 miles an hour. It's raining a lot. It's 35 degrees.
I asked that only because of the kickers.
Yeah. Well, and for what it's worth, the best kicker in football this year has been Boswell. He's only missed 1 field goal all season, and he kicks in the hardest stadium to kick in by far, which is Pittsburgh. So anything's even like a little bit of an upgrade over Pittsburgh, because the wind in there just makes it just gets crazy. That's why they always keep the same kickers for a million years. You don't see them changing out their kickers very often. I do have a couple Boswell captain lineups. And I actually don't, look, it could be the final score could be 13 to 12 or 17 to 12 or something like that. They've had 2 games they've won this year so far where he's been the only scorer, which is pretty wild to think about.
I mean, just really fast, and I mean, this might also just be irrelevant. Like, projecting totals is kind of a waste of time for a majority of stuff. But I think this game ends like 14-6. Mm-hmm. But I think Boswell. So if we're leaving money on the table, I still don't think you need to go down and play like guys who are like $1,500 or $1,000 or whatever. Like, I think Warren Boswell make a lot of sense. I think if you're purposely leaving money on the salary, I think you're just not playing the most expensive guys up top,
Right.
like Pickens, Harris. Like, I don't think you need to
No, you don't need to play $200 guys. You can just play
Yeah.
the $6,000 guys.
Yeah. That would be my approach or that's actually probably where I'm going to go, especially if I'm like leaning to so many running backs and I like Boswell and stuff. Like, I don't think you need Harris, Pickens, Wilson. I mean, like, Jameis is like the most expensive guy that I think you would want to play in this game. So like right off the bat, you're not playing the two most expensive guys, or if you're not playing Harris or whatever. But like I think that's how you approach this slate. Like I don't think we need the bottom feeders in the salary cap, but I don't think you need the most expensive guys either. And so you could very easily have a lineup that leads or spin anywhere from like 47.5 to like probably 48.6, and I think that's good enough for this slate.
Yeah, I lowered my minimum salary to 42,000. I actually was thinking about going all the way down to 40, just because I don't mind leaving like 9,000 on the table or 7,000 on the table.
But are you getting it though? But are you getting lineups like that?
So I'm looking at my old builds from when I first ran this. I'm getting a lot of 3,000, 4,000 left on, not the 7, 8. But I'm okay with it if I get the 7, 8. I don't mind.
7,000. I mean,
yeah, it's a lot, but I mean, look, the guy who won the first millionaire this year, didn't he have he left like 14,000 on the table or something? It was like an absurd number that you never see. But you're going to be unique with that too. That's one other thing.
What are you doing? The lottery?
Yeah, I'm just playing the lottery.
Okay, because even when I hear stories about that, I'm like, well, I'm just not going to win. I just can't. Even me and Sigentry, if you play lottery like that, I feel like you're just burning money most of the time. And if you don't hit it in the year, you're going to be down like 200 grand.
I don't agree, actually. I think there's plenty of times where in showdowns for football that nothing is. I mean, basketball, I would agree with that. I don't think that's the case for football, at least not to me, because I do think that you don't need all these guys. We've seen kickers be the best scoring players on 3 of the showdown slates we've had this year, or 4, maybe 4. We've seen backup running backs get there, and I wouldn't have a problem if I built a lineup that had Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, Nick Chubb, Jerome Ford, Freiermuth, and Njoku as my 6, or throw Boswell instead of one of those guys.
You should probably have defenses though if you're gonna. I think.
Yeah, I am playing defense. I'm just throwing it out there but there's a path where those guys just get all the scoring. There's just no throwing touchdowns, except and the only one unless it's to either Freiermuth or Njoku. But I'm lower on quarterbacks in general on showdown slates, and I'm definitely feeling that today. I want to actually lower my maximum exposure to be below the field on Jameis. Jameis is the one I've had a little harder time doing it with, but Russell Wilson, I have no problem doing it.
I think you need Jameis tonight. I think
maybe. It's just hard for me to know how this game is going to go. I mean, it's you have the best defense in football against the most volatile quarterback in football.
well, what that means, and again, this we kind of joke about doing this on classic slates, but on showdown, it's almost optimal, I think, to play Jameson with Steelers defense in a decent amount of lineups.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, I totally agree with that. In fact, it's such a weird matchup. It's even on a small, like a 3-game slate or something like that. It was like the Thanksgiving slate or something. I could see playing Jameis and specifically targeting Jameis and the Steelers defense. I mean, it worked with the Saints against him a couple weeks ago.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, just for funsies, what are some of the punts that we're not playing? You know what I mean?
I think that your best one would be Patterson, but again, I don't think you need to do it.
No, I know that, but I mean, but Calvin Austin, I presume, is in the
he's a legitimate play too. I think.
Right. So there's no guys. I mean, I didn't really look at the guys projected under 1 point. Those are the guys I usually kind of play. Guys like Michael Pruitt and I'm just looking at your screen right here, Darnell Washington.
What about Kadarius Toney?
Kadarius Toney. Has he gotten any snaps yet this year? I mean,
yeah. So he played last week. He had 1 carry for -7 yards, so he actually had negative points.
Well, but they scripted a play for him. I mean, that's
what always happens with him. There's always going to be one, no matter what team he's on. There's always one play designed for Kadarius Toney every week, and sometimes it's a 20-yard touchdown.
Maybe that comes along with the trade when they trade him. it comes like with the play. I mean, like if you take him, you have to give him this end around, and you have to model for at least like one fumble and like one. What did he have last year that was really bad? He had a penalty or something. Wasn't there was a big play when he was on the Chiefs?
There was a few of them for Kansas City last year.
There was like a penalty or something that he committed.
Was it last year, the year before? What? Yeah,
I thought he like punched a guy or something during.
Is that what it was?
I could be wrong, but I.
Is this I know I understand they've let Justin Fields play some of the running plays, but I think that's just sucker play to me, the Justin Fields thing. Because TJ's asking about it. I've heard other people talking about it today. It seems too cute to me.
He's just too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like I don't know how you're. I mean, he's cost the same amount as the other guys do. I don't know. I guess there's like a path. I'm a little surprised that he doesn't have a projection. Because he did. You know, he ran some plays last week against Baltimore when they needed to run the clock out. They used him for like the option stuff.
All right, so I'll have in case anybody cares or whatever. So FanDuel is not allowing me to change my lineups.
Why?
For CSV for basketball.
Oh, it's just why? It's just like broken or something? It
just says an error has occurred, and I've had that for 15 minutes.
Oh, that's really irritating.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to send an email to them, and that's its own headache.
Yeah.
FanDuel is literally the worst.
Mm-hmm. It is. I'm just gonna we did lose my Bridges, so I just wanted to tell people like what I thought made sense, but nobody's really asking about it much. All right, let's talk some more, Brandon. So you're saying your main guys would be Chubb, Jameis. That's sort of the what you're going around, right?
Yeah, Chubb, Jameis, Warren. You know, because I like those guys that automatically removes Wilson and or Fields, like regardless if they play or if he's on the field. I don't think having any exposure to the Steelers quarterback side is worth it tonight, especially if we're leaning, at least for me, leaning towards a lower scoring game that limits the amount of quarterbacks that are typically in there. I like Jameis because I think he'll at least help carry Cleveland no matter what he's doing, even if it's just like short passes to like Njoku or whatever. But I'm just not feeling this Steelers offense at all in this game. Because go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Like if I'm not playing Pickens, right? Like that would at least for me, that would lean towards, Harris being more involved or like Boswell being more involved and stuff. And so like if I'm not playing Pickens and I don't like Wilson and stuff, like I think by default you have to like either the Steelers defense or the running backs from the Steelers more.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, I'll tell you the rules that I made. I did rules and everything for the.
Oh my God, who are you?
Yeah, I know. I made rules and then I let SaberSim do its thing.
Yeah.
So what I did was that I said I want actually a minimum of one, actually exactly one, defense in each lineup.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to have no quarterbacks in the captains. And I was going to leave 2,000 on the table, minimum. That was good. Those are the rules. And then I just ran it. But what I want to do, if you don't mind, I'll run a new one just to show people.
Yeah. Let me take mine.
Do. Yeah. So I'll run a SaberSim. I'll use, again, try to do a little process here. Especially with Showdown, by the way. I mean, I do put Showdown, try to put Showdown projections up, but if you're going to use them, it's always good to get a little bit of a sanity check to see who you're using here. And I always like to double check my projections versus SaberSims to see how close they are. I just want to make sure they're close in some degree and to see if maybe I want to just make some changes, but I don't see anything completely off the wall here.
No.
So it's going to remind me to talk about some of these guys. So Darnell Washington, I mean, he's a big dude, like he's I think he could get some targets. And if you're saying it's a tight end slate, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that fits. Mike Williams, he's got a projection of 2, but
yeah, that one's funny because I could see something happening there. He's another big guy.
Jordan Akins is the other tight end for Cleveland. These are guys that are just going to show up. I mean, in
Yeah.
lineups, if you play enough of them, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Van Jefferson has got a 2. Cordell Patterson, you mentioned. Here are like the guys. I mean, this is when I build, I have to decide right away whether I want to just X these guys out or just get me some. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because if you play like 100 lineups, for example, and you try to sort and try to get unique, you're gonna get these guys, you know, unless you get rid of them. Okay. So you have to really see if any of these guys are literally inactive. You know, like I can't imagine playing, you know, Blake Whiteheart, right? Why don't you tell me any of these guys as I'm crossing them off, like who actually has a chance to get a turn?
I agree with your Washington and Akins.
I'm going up here. Scotty Miller, is he on the team?
I wouldn't. I don't see any. I don't.
Michael Pruitt.
I wouldn't.
Connor Hayward.
Hayward. I guess there's a chance for Hayward, but I would probably cross him out too now. With
Tony, we want to leave him in case.
I like leaving Tony in.
So that's what you do. See, if you leave him in, you better be sure you're going to get some. And well, it depends. So Pierre Strong.
Pierre Strong is. He's had a couple carries every week. I just think it's unlikely he gets near the goal line, but it's possible. I wouldn't take him out.
Okay, so we'll leave him in. We'll give him like a 1. Who's Jonathan Ward?
Jonathan Ward, I'm not even sure. Is he active?
Right. Okay, so good answer. So we don't even know if he's active. We're going to cross him out. So we cross him out. As a matter of fact, instead of crossing, this is like a Saber Sim trick. If you cross him out, then what you also have to do is go back to the captain's listing and cross him out there too. So instead, we just give him a 0 projection instead of crossing him out. It's just a little bit cleaner that way. And this, so we got nobody here. So all these guys are good. Okay. And we're not going to build any rules right now. Let's just run. Screw it. We'll run 5,000 lineups. Who cares? So we'll run 5,000 lineups with no rules, and let's see what we get. Now again, you'll see the contest. I mean, I'm playing on the lottery. I'm playing all this other shit. But I also, you know, for those who are interested in like single entry stuff, I'm also playing a couple of single entry things. Like I'm playing the Spy. I'm playing this 4-point stance. So get for these are going to be very similar to what you probably get for a single entry. Okay, so what I like to do is before you even run the sim, I want to check to see what I'm getting with like the Saber Sim ranking. So Saber Sim says, let's see what we're looking at. So single game, you click on the eyeball here. So this is the formula if you're not going to sim. So it's 100 times the sim optimals, and Jordan explained this. This is specific to Saber Sim, like the Saber Sim optimals. It's sort of aggressive, but not really. And then you have 0.8 times Thunder projection, and then you see -2 times average ownership. This is sort of aggressive, but not like overly so. Stays? Could somebody? Okay.
I can't. It's broken.
Okay. Okay. So if we didn't do any simming, this is what we'd end up with. And if you cared about percentages, it would be Harris, Pickens. Wait, what would it look like? Jameson, Tillman, the usual guys. But who would we get in the captain here, for example? We'd be getting 47% Najee Harris in the captain if we did this. Now, again, we haven't simmed anything. So at this point, you could choose. You could put this in if you want, or you could try to go like min uniques, you know, like maybe go min uniques 2, min uniques 3. But I don't know, you know, like there's so few combinations in Showdown, really. That I don't know if that might be getting me towards really just bad lineups. So I might not do that, but just to show what you do here, you see how this average projection, it says 71.1. So you want to take a look at this number as we go more min unique. So from min uniques 1 to min uniques 2, this will go from 71, only drops 70.79. So that's good. And then you go to min uniques 3, and then it'll drop 6 to 67. And if people are asking me, well, what drop is a lot? I don't know. It's kind of like a term of art, right? But one thing you did notice, and when you go to min uniques 4, can't even get the amount of lineups I need. So that's no good. So we go back to min uniques 2, and so if I were not going to sim, this is kind of where I would leave it, you know. But let's go ahead and do this now. Before we even click this run contest sim, We want to see what we're running here. So under contests, it will show you like what the field are that you're going to be using. So we're using the straight Saber Sim fields, like what they think the field's going to do. And unless you really know what you're doing, and I don't say that insultingly because I don't either, unless you really know how to construct these football fields on your own, it's probably best to just go with the Saber Sim one. But it's good to know what you're doing here. So you're using these field lines, and if you want to, you can click through these and see what this is representing. But that's, again, getting a little bit too much into the weeds. So we'll go back into here where we were, and then we will click on this Run Contest Sim button here. Wait, this is what we were doing? 653, is that us? Okay. So let's hit Run Contest Sims. Now, why is this one red? This is red because, apparently I had some Ben Swarnick or Jalen Darden somehow. Well, that's good to know that I don't want them.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Since we've been doing, or NASCAR's been over, and I've been kind of experimenting stuff in the background. Since I do not prioritize not having duplications, like if I have dupes, I don't care. For like F1 and like some like NBA Showdown stuff, I have found more success recently with the new Saber Sim, assuming that it is more accurate and better. I have had far more success running lineups that are projected to win, like using the win rate versus ROI and other stuff. That I just want to throw that in there.
Now, when you say you had more success, what does that mean?
I feel like I have not been. I feel like specifically for NBA Showdown.
Okay.
I feel like I have been able to have a majority of my lineups, not even like cashing, but like far closer to hitting the optimal lineup than I had been in previous years. Now, I haven't been playing a lot since NASCAR ended. I'm gonna more so get back into DFS in December, but during like the 2.5 weeks when NBA started, that I was doing like the $3 or $4 like showdowns at like 9 p.m. or whatever. I was having more success, just missing the optimal by one player doing that versus focusing on ROI compared to last year. Now that's my sample size of maybe like 18 NBA slates at this point. And I'm going to look more into that in December. But that's what I have found with the new Saber Sim versus the old one, as I feel like that data point has been better, or using that has been better for me.
Well, again, who would appreciate that is you have to tell Jordan in that, because they like to hear that kind of feedback. Because I noticed that with football specifically, even NFL Showdown, I actually have found that they're building more unique lineups than they were. Still not doing enough, but they did something to their models, giving you a little bit more uniqueness. So I don't know what that is. Now, NBA Showdown, I never play, so I can't really I can't comment on that. But I will say, not to spend too much time on it, but when you're analyzing results, just be careful, not being too results oriented. You remember everything is a small sample. The way I like to, what some people like to do is they just like to look at all this money left on the table. You like this 4,400, and to your point, by the way, Bobby, like no one in here, this lineup, for example, is particularly low owned,
right?
But you just got all these cheaper ones together, Right. So to your point as well, Brandon, I don't have to use, XYZ dude who's not playing, in the lineup, You just have to just eat, eat the salary, and just hope that that you didn't need it. That's all.
And then jumping right back, I'm not saying my thing is the end all be all. I'm just always trying different things in DFS.
Yeah.
I'm also wanting to say that I'm not doing the major stuff that everybody focuses on, having solo lineups specifically with this approach, or at least what I've been doing. Like nearly all my dupes or all my lines have been duped like anywhere from like 4 to 7 times. So
Mhm.
like if you are
in
not
NBA.
yeah, like if you're wanting, solo lineups, following win rate would not be advised in that. I personally don't care.
Here we go. So this is
Like
how.
like I mean, like you could even look at it with like the NFL slate tonight. You'll see that the lineups are probably a lot quote unquote safer, and it doesn't take at least like when you look at ROI for like this game. Now this might be a bad example just because this game can go anywhere, but when you look at the ROI lineups that it gives you, and then the win rate lineup, ROI is clearly swinging for the fences and stuff, but typically I feel like the optimal is falling in line of like the top probably 200 to 300 that SaberSim is showing in with their win rate for like NBA and stuff. Now, yet again, I haven't messed with it with NFL too much, but that's just what I've personally been seeing or feeling rather.
Well, that's a study that can be done. You know what I mean? Like if for somebody who was so inclined, or you could probably even ask in the SaberSim Discord. But what I was just kind of getting at is when you're analyzing results. The way I look at. Okay, so this is the needle you have to thread in NFL in short slates, whether it be Showdown, 2-game slates, or whatever. You have to thread that needle between. Yes, it would be nice to be unique. Great, okay, but you don't want to play 12 guys who are not playing.
Mhm.
So at some point you reach that magical point where you're playing lineups that have a chance to not be duped by too many people, yet have a chance to win. And being able to thread that needle is certainly not easy. And depending on the sport, it impacts how hard it is to thread that needle. Like the NBA, like if you try to get unique on purpose in NBA Showdown, you're going to get crushed. Okay,
Mhm.
because NBA is such a projectable sport that you'll end up like getting unique, not for no reason, but the projection gods are very punishing in the NBA. Like if you give up like too many points in your average projection, you just have no chance. You just don't. On the other hand, and another good example of where it might not matter about where you don't want to screw with the best plays too much is, and you and Stukas has talked about this a lot, is like F1, for example. Like F1, there are only so many combinations and so many things that can actually have a chance to happen. Bobby, this is really interesting. What these guys were telling me was that a lot of at least not a lot, but like several people who have been winning in F1 have said, screw this unique thing. They pick their best lineup and enter it like 15 times. And the sport's got to be right for it. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
but maybe there's something to be said. And so each sport is just different. I feel is that like NBA Showdown, for example, NFL Showdown is just kind of wild. Just because it's a combination of event driven and one play is like the whole slate. You know what I mean? Like you get a 1% owned guy at 200 that gets an 650-yard touchdown or whatever. I mean, that's it. I mean, they're all optimal. It's not like the NBA. Like one guy hits a 3, who cares?
Right.
So it's like, right. So it's so event driven that's why, like, same as baseball, right? I mean, it's baseball's worse, obviously, because you can literally get zeros and zeros and zeros, and then one hit, you get 14, whatever.
Right.
But those sports are very similar in that way, that I think you really should try your best to get unique in those types of sports. Now, baseball, it's not so difficult because there's so many.
Yeah.
Really, you know what I mean? That all have the same opportunity. You have 9 guys playing, and okay, 7 of them are going to have like all the same amount of at bats, pretty much, right?
Right.
And then you get the relievers coming in, whatever. But football, it's kind of nasty. I mean, you could play guys that get no snaps ever. If you try, and you know what you're doing, you're trying to get unique, and you're basically locked into 60% of the time, your guy's going to get literally a 0. And I know it's nice to say, oh, it's getting a 0 is not so bad. I mean, you're just not winning with a 0. You're just not.
Unless you have the one slate that one with the Gordon, Josh Gordon as a captain, and he didn't play, and
he didn't play, but he still wanted the
and
captain.
he won it with him as a captain. He won $1 million
That's great.
because that was the only way to play the other 5 guys who scored all of the points. Like, it's just weird. Baseball.
I have to really email these freaking idiots.
So irritating.
I'd almost rather just keep my stupid lineups than go through the hassle.
Dude, but how long ago are they from? Because there was some big news.
Not that bad, but yeah, it's actually bad enough. Ugh.
They have to at least free roll you.
Okay. I'm looking to find a good email for them.
Support@fanduel.com.
That's what it says, so I'm gonna do it. Let's see.
Okay.
This is what we're gonna do. Okay, so hold on. We're gonna
This is real.
you guys will watch. Okay, so we're gonna do this the right way.
This is like it's become like a sheet process show.
Do you want that on the screen? I can take it off.
Yeah. It's fine.
Cool. All right.
This is the way we'll do this. So step 1 to figure out what email address I use for the site. It's this one. So what's new email? Okay. And what did we say? Support at FanDuel.com?
Yeah. But it should pop up.
If I've ever emailed them before.
Oh my God. Let me just double check that that's actually the email. I'm just going off of my memory.
Hold on. It says, please contact customer support. It doesn't give you any information. Let's see something. Upcoming. So these are live. So my live ones. Okay. See, look what this looks like. Don't you like this? This is good. My live scoring. No line. Nothing listed.
From a different email too. That's why I did it.
Nothing listed.
That's ridiculous.
Oh, there it is. So let's. I wonder if we can. You can't see us yet.
How much Diabate did you have in there? That's the thing. How
much who?
Diabate.
I don't even know who that is.
He's probably the highest owned player on the slate.
Did it start?
Yeah.
Well, then it doesn't matter. But wait.
Well, but they have to refund you though. I mean, they can't not have their site not work.
No, right? So here, this is what we're gonna do. But I got to give them like a screenshot to show them. Well, first of all, here's my up and coming for football. And see how this. Okay. I'm sure. I hate to go on Twitter, but I'm pretty sure somebody other. Okay.
I do want to add that while we were live, I went to go look at FanDuel. If people were watching that, I was on my phone. I was trying to log back into FanDuel. It took me like 15 minutes to log back in. That's why I was staring at my phone during you guys talking.
Yeah, everybody's writing that FanDuel is broken.
I mean, I'm assuming FanDuel just totally shit the bed this evening on stuff. I'm not even playing on there. I just wanted to look at the slates and it like I could not log in. It was taking me forever to just log in.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to throw out a few FanDuel bills. So I'm getting like an average of like 5,000 left on the table, 4,000 or 5,000 for what it's worth. And I am totally cool with that for this particular game.
So the other thing,
FanDuel build real quick.
Hang on, up and coming. Where's the football? So here, well, this is what we're going to do. We're going to watch this. We're going to go. We're going to take a little, like a screenshot of this. See an error, okay? And then we can post that into here. See attached. Okay, let's see what happens.
All right. Well, I hope for the best. I'm seeing if I'm in it. So it's not letting me enter right now on FanDuel. That's so weird.
Are you posting about this on Twitter? I hope so. Otherwise,
I'm sure everybody's talking about because everybody in our
there it is. There's sure. Just post the exact same thing. There it is.
Okay, let me enter one lineup, but I can't see it. What is going on, FanDuel? Oh my God, I don't even know who I put in this thing.
I just respond.
Jesus. All right. Everything is an unexpected error.
Okay, there you go.
That's just very tilting.
They were so upset that I won the showdown the other night that they don't want me to win it again.
They're out on it. I can't believe that was actually a pretty good chunk for a showdown on FanDuel.
That was dude. It was like in first place at halftime, and it just
cruised.
Didn't hold the whole time. It like went into like the second, which meant like 83rd or something.
Yeah,
went to second for a while, and then And then Houston got the pick 6. That's what happened. And then Houston got the pick 6.
Oh, right. That was a big game too.
And then
all right, guys. Anything else we should touch on before we?
No, I don't think so.
All right.
I don't have anything else to touch on for this game. I have 3 videos that are gonna be because I'm going to see my mom and everything for Thanksgiving. But I have 3 videos that'll be coming out next week. So if anybody's bored or like they hate their family during Thanksgiving, I'm going to be talking about pulling data for NASCAR, just reviewing the season, stuff like that. I'll be live Saturday for the F1 race, probably 5 or 4 p.m. Eastern time Saturday. I'll let people know probably like Friday.
Oh, you're not going to be up? You're not going to be up at midnight?
I mean, I'll be up. I mean, if you want to do the live stream at 1 a.m. your time or whatever, we could do it too. But we should have the grid and everything well before that. Because I mean, I'm staying up and watching it.
Does Sabersim have that? Oh, the grid's not up yet. Okay.
Yeah, it's not up yet. Like I don't think they haven't practiced yet. They do all that tomorrow, so we have nothing.
So how do? Because I thought I saw some site actually try to put projections up already. I guess not.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's see what
I can't imagine just the pain that the Las Vegas natives have to deal with shutting the strip.
That must be amazing, right?
Yeah, like this has.
That's where it is, by the way, Bobby. The F1 event.
Oh, it's in Vegas.
Yeah,
it's on the strip.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they can only do stuff, during like non, work hours and stuff. That's why everything this weekend is like practice. At like 9 p.m. Q is like at 10 p.m. The race starts at. What is it? 11 p.m. local time, I think.
Oh my God,
10 p.m. local time Saturday.
Lights out.
Yeah.
Jesus, that's nuts.
Dude,
All right,
this whole weekend's like that. The MMA car this week is from China. So,
jeez.
Oh wow.
So it starts Saturday 3 a.m.
Oh wow.
Eastern.
That's rough.
Great.
All right.
Okay.
All right,
well, good luck, everybody. And I guess we'll see you.